Hi Stampers! Today we'll be making this card, and this is another technique, and I'm calling this coloring outside the lines. And this was a little difficult for some of my friends, but they pushed through it and they liked their end result. Let's get started. We're using the stamp set Birthday Blooms, and we're using this big flower in there. To do the design, this is shimmery paper, not just white, and I don't think you'll be able to see the shimmer. A smidge, but not much. So we're first going to take our embossing buddy and use that on there. You could use watercolor paper, but it doesn't always emboss as well, so that's why I'm using the shimmery. And when you use Whisper White, the color doesn't float over the top as well as it does on the shimmer paper. So next we'll take the stamp and we'll ink it up with the Versamark. This is a large stamp, so you want to leave it down flat and put the ink over the top. Ink it up good. Now's the time when you won't be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so when you stamp this, you want to stamp it on a dark background around there so that you can see the placement of your stamp. And just let the ink absorb in there. Lift it up. You may or may not be able to see that. And now you'll even see less. I'm using white embossing powder. And I just like little containers to keep my embossing powder in, especially for classes. It's less messy and less hassles for everybody. So you can kind of see it. Put that over with the cover on. Next we'll emboss it. And I like to use a piece of foil wrapped on just a piece of cardboard, not cardstock but cardboard. And this helps the heat work better, as well as, sorry about the glare, and it also helps you to prevent from burning yourself. So now we'll emboss it. And when it gets shiny, then you know it's finished. And again, I'm not sure how much of this you'll be able to see. It goes pretty quick though. And as you can see, I'm not going like this when I emboss. That's not the way you should do it. You should just go from one area and let the heat spread onto the piece. Looks good. Okay. Sorry if there was glare from the foil. So now we have our embossed piece. Not sure if you can see it. Next we'll color. We're using the aqua painters, and this is where it gets pretty. So first we're going to use Soft Sky and then Pool Party and Wild Wasabi. I squish the covers like so to get the color into the cover. You could also just use refills, but this works pretty well. So we're going to grab the ink from the lid. Make sure that your aqua painter has a lot of water. You can see it's pooling a lot of water like that. That's what you want. And you'll go over the entire piece of paper or cardstock. And it'll be more even the more water you have. But we do want color, so we have to grab a little bit. And it just gives sort of a nice light backwash of everything. And I'm not going completely to the edges. That is part of the watercolor look. Next we'll use the Pool Party, and here it will be a little more defined for the flower. I put a drop of re-inker in here because it wasn't squishing very nicely. I think I have to re-ink my pad. Alright, need some more water. You can always tell when your brush is getting a little dry when it sort of goes like this and it sort of splits out. There we go. And now we'll stay more, now you'll be able to see more too. We'll stay more within the lines of the flower. And again, if you go outside the flower, it's okay, because this is called coloring outside the lines. And it's a little hard to see, but there we go. And if you want it a little darker, take a little more of the ink, and then it will define it a little better. The best thing is to go over it the second time rather than do too much color the first time. We'll do the little flowers. Again, you can go outside the lines, like so. I think that's all the flowers. Again, it's really hard to see. Then you'll take a napkin or just a piece of just paper, and you want to clean off your brush, and that's how you clean it off. The next, oh, we need a little more in here. It dried pretty light. So now we're just going to go back, and you see I'm not going within each of the little petals. I'm just doing the whole thing. The embossing keeps it within the lines. There we go. Next color is Wasabi, and there, that one turned out nice. And this is for the leaves. Now this is, I think, where most people had the most difficulty. Again, you want it pretty wet, and this will give a little bit of a wash outside the lines of the leaves. So I'm just coming over, and you can see I'm going outside the lines, and it just gives the background a little more depth and color. Then I'll come back and take a little more of the green, less watered down, and just come in and fill in the flowers a little better to define them. And you can see the way that it resists the embossing lines and stays then within the lines of the insides of it. And I'm not squeezing my aqua painter now. It just flows nicely. And again, you can always come back and do some more coloring. But I think this looks pretty good. A nice soft finish, but yet defined and watercolor. Okay, excuse me, I think I'm fighting a cold here. Then we have the card base, which is Wild Wasabi. And I have Pool Party, which I've embossed in the decorative dots. I'll just put that on. And then we have a piece of Wild Wasabi once again. And this one you want to make sure you put plenty of adhesive on, because when it gets wet it does curl a little bit, and this will help it lay flat. Like so. Probably would want to let it dry a little better, but for video's sake we're doing it now and it'll be fine. And then you'll put on 4 dimensionals, or 5, then the center will stay nice. Like so. You could put a sentiment on or just leave it as it is. On the inside, I just took a Pool Party flower, one of the flowers in the set, and stamp that on like so. Little pieces. Isn't that a pretty card? And it's coloring outside the lines, which, give it a shot. You may not think you would like it, but I would say everyone in the class did. Thanks for watching and have a great day.